All right, let's go on to the, on-site show and tell. Can, you do the camera rolling for us, Rodney, or Philip? Phil, you wanna do it? Okay. Switch it to 2. There we go. And if your piece is put up there, go ahead and come on over to the, microphone, so you can, tell us about it. Sue, did you do that one?
I did not.
No. Why are you coming in the microphone?
She just talks better.
She talks better, huh?
She finished it. She
The
finished
finishing department, he's sending the finishing department.
Okay.
It's Cherry, AC did it, you all know that. And I just finished it glossy. I don't,
What kind of wood
there's
is
not a
that?
story, it's cherry.
Cherry, nice.
There's no story behind that one, you know, I always like to have a story. That one, there's a little bit of a story. It was in our wood pile, we were bringing wood in a couple weeks ago, and I said, oh, look, there's a burl on that piece of oak, we gotta cut it off. So, there was.
And that's cherry?
No, that's oak.
Oh, oak, okay.
It was a burl on a piece of firewood. It's kind of fun.
What do you use?
That's just the Minwax, the quick dry, warm, I think that one's satin, and then I rub it out.
With a white one?
Oh, fine.
Polish.
White one, Polly? White
No,
one?
no, but I just,
Brush.
I rub it out with, rotten stone,
Okay.
and then steel wool.
What was the finish on the first one?
Really nice finish.
That was a poly too.
Really?
Yeah, that one, well, then, you got the turner in there that's trying to turn while you're trying to finish it. I had to get a box to put over my stuff, cause,
Yeah,
you know,
it
it's
does.
a nice day. But this is a piece of cherry that was a tree that passed away in our backyard. It was a weeping cherry, it had been grafted, and so that one was kind of interesting too. I mean, if y'all know us, we like junk wood, so that's what we do that.
Very
Same
nice.
finish.
AC.
That was cherry as well.
No, Indian.
That's it.
That's it? Okay.
Just seeing if you had any posts.
Very nice.
That actually came from the wood yard. That was some, as I said it earlier, coal wood. It was basically trash wood that was holding the pallet up. So, I think it looks like mahogany, and I think somebody else said earlier that it looks like mahogany. Beautiful piece. Tried to make the star on the top. That was kind of a challenge, but just learning that as well. And then, I've seen a couple people do the actual, 45 at the bottom of each one of those leaves. I think that gives it a lot of character on it. And then my other one is, you wanna stay in
Yeah.
front? Right, it's the alphabet.
What kind of finish do
This
you
one?
have on yours?
Very nice.
Super glue. That, thin, Parafix.
CA?
Yes, sir. That Parafix, like, Mark Soleil uses. And so you wipe it back off, it's real thin, and it doesn't actually leave any exterior, it doesn't crack, I like it. Anyway, that's, ambrosia maple bowl, probably one of the first ones I did almost 10 years ago, and I never had a lathe big enough to finish it. It was hollowed out in one of Mark Soleil's piles. It was all kind of crooked and everything, really thick. And I never could, he had too big of a foot on it, so I just over the summer got a bigger lathe, and I've been able to upgrade and get a bigger chuck.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice to get back to the bowls. But anyway, the fruit inside is just different assorted cherry, Purdue, yellow heart, Osage orange, with different basically stems. And I got the idea from Colin Way, British turner. Use a chuck to finish the ends. It's really easy. It only takes about maybe 30 minutes a piece, maybe down to 15 on some of those. Wow.
So the stem's a different type of wood you added, or
Yes,
stayed?
sir, the stem, yeah, so you just kind of taper the stem,
Mm-hmm.
and then, you drill your hole, and, you just put it in with a little super glue, and then on the end, I just take it on my sander, and just sand that 45 on the end of it. And I try to drill it at an angle, because no stem that's straight up anyway, so
Yeah.
I'll just take a drill bit and just drill in and
Right.
get it to fit.
Mhm. It's good.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good idea.
Sir,
You use a skew on that?
I'm not a ski person, I use my spindle rubbing.
All these key haters here.
I'm trying.
All right, Doc, those are short.
Yeah, this is my Christmas ornament this year, and then just, bales, they're not hollow, but we start out with a square block, do the drill, cut the slots in it, and then put it on the lathe and turn it. The challenge was getting the finish I wanted, so this is one of those throwbacks. It was a crystallite finish with mica or gold colored mica granules in it. So that was the challenge in this one.
That's like wood.
Oh, it's wood, yeah.
It's wood. It looks really good. It's really good. That was one of those, I just messing with it.
Oh, yeah.
Never perfect. Big jingle?
Well, yeah, you have enough to drink it, do you?
Okay, that is my Christmas ornament, for this year. The, finial on the icicle are ebony. The body is actually a white styrofoam ball that you buy at a hobby store. Put 3 coats of acrylic red paint on it, and then seals it with epoxy resin. And the next one, I think I made 10 or 12 of these. And towards the end, I also tried putting some glitter in the epoxy resin of that. This is something I actually learned at a gourd club that I belong to. You mount the ball on a spinner. And the ball the spinner just turns, or I guess it turns. It just turns it for like 5 or 6 hours until you turn it off to keep it from dripping down. And once you get the hang of it, it turns out pretty good, but sometimes you have to do 3 or 4 or 5 of them before you understand what you're doing. So,
What's inside?
it's a white styrofoam ball.
You use a skew on the styrofoam ball?
I did. They were fixed, so I turned them around. It's probably the lightest ornament I've ever turned. And I did accidentally drop one of these on the concrete floor. And, I thought, oh, this would be bad news. But it actually bounced. There were no marks on it, so wow. I was pleased.
I have to get you to do a seminar on that. Those are really nice.
Joe, you wanna go?
Okay,
A metal.
those are my, pine cone ornaments. Somebody asked me, one time, can you go down with the camera so you can see the bottom stem too? Yeah. And that's my textured, glazed finish that I like to use. Hides all the imperfections. I had this at the Perry Fair, and in past years I had sold every one I took down to the Perry Fair, but this one did not sell. You got an idea why it might not have sold this time? Yeah. Bingo. I don't know if that was it. I usually make a flat spot so I can put the words on the flat spot, and I was just so busy trying to get all my stuff ready for the fair, I just did not see that just one of them had a flat spot. But some of them I do that intentionally, and I thought those turned out. So it's a white glaze, it's like a paint, and you rub it off, rub some of it off. But somebody asked me one time, he said, I can't figure out how you got that, wood inside that pine cone like that. And actually, you make it 2 pieces, you cut the pine cone, of course, you probably know that. Cut the pine cone and glue it to a piece of That's, the wood is mimosa, and the finish is just a spray-on acrylic. And I use a satin, I like the satin finish.
Alright.
Rocky,
Been a while. Anyway,
glad to have you,
Rocky
Rocky.
Davis,
Glad-
and, couple things I want to say about that. That is, I'm going to a class with Rudy Lopez. So attended that, and, how did they turn out? Pretty good?
Mine busted in the first 5 minutes.
Yes, I was a little leery of that myself.
It's in the fire pit.
Anyway, those ribs on there come from making beads and codes. And then you shape the wood in such a way that it makes that equal all the way around. And it scares you to death with the way he mounted that. You're looking at horizontal, then all of a sudden he wants to do it this way. And I stand back like this way. Anyway, what I'm gonna say, let me add to this a little bit. That's Bradford pear, and the finish is mahogany. I mean,
Mahoney?
what's it? Mahoney oil. I like that. It's not so shiny, but I still like it. And anyway, I was thinking about some things over the last couple of days. The Rudy Lopez is a class that we featured here, and I think they had about 8 or 9 people that went to that class, all of them to me, right?
Yeah.
So take advantage of these kind of things. You usually get some people that are much better than we are. You can learn from them, and see if you can go to some of these classes. And this was the case here. We looked at it in our club a couple times, 2 or 3 times over the years. When we started out, he was a little small man.
He's still little.
He liked that. One time he said, somebody getting on to him about, stand up. I am standing up.
You got a box and you stand on.
He's gonna get my Budweiser over here. Somebody gave him that name.
That was a chip shop, wasn't
Florida.
it?
Yeah.
But that led me to this other thing. Go take those classes if you can, and learn a lot from these people. The other thing is, some people know Terry Smith. He was in this club, and he had his own club there over in Right. That is Gray. Yeah. And he used to really help me get started. Went to some things in Atlanta, wood stores in Atlanta, and anyway, we got talking, and he said, I said, I really want to try to learn to do some woodworking, wood burning. And I had an interest in that. Well, you know, we have clubs around the state. Oh, they do? Yes. In fact, there's one that I'm the president of, not too far from where you live. And so that's how I got started with working with them. So you can seek out some of these people, then in that, you can have some more get started. That's what I put behind it, so they want to learn more about it. Terry Smith was his name. And he would encourage me. I didn't think I could come to both clubs, really, you know, the distance, the travel, in 2 weeks. My wife didn't believe me that is. But anyway, he would cue me in on some of the better people that were coming ahead to this club that Fred Morris helped get here, you know. And so that encouraged me a lot. There you see the ribs a little bit there. Okay. And lastly, if you can get into a symposium, we used to have one in North Georgia all the time. If you can go to a symposium, usually they're 2 or 3 days, and you will learn more in those 3 days than you will in the 4 years. And that was a quote from Terry Smith. You learn more in 3 days by being in that symposium than you will in 3 years. Think about that.
couple of weeks after Nashville, a good one.
Say it again.
Tennessee,
Tennessee Symposium.
That's the Franklin Tennessee. Yeah,
coming up the end of the month.
it's good. It is. It is. A couple of you guys have been to that.
Yeah, me and
And the
Ron.
national symposium is in June, I think around the 15th. That's in the wrong way this time, Minnesota. But usually they spread it around the country in different quadrants. So sooner or later, you're gonna have one in your area. Different quadrants.
It was in Chattanooga a few years ago.
Check on that, okay? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rocky.
Ron? Well, that's the one I brought. I don't know if you
Oh,
wanna
okay.
talk about it or you want me to talk about it.
It's not mine.
Well, maybe you can add a little insight to
I
it.
believe the email said, bring something that you got at the Christmas party. And
Right.
this was, one that I was lucky and fortunate enough and I'm honored to have it, at the Christmas party. I got it, and Ron Biffle, made it, and it's a beautiful, little bowl, and I've been wanting something of his for a long time, and I finally got it, so.
All right,
But,
good job. Good job.
Hey,
not
hey,
wide
Ron,
open.
hey, Ron, how do you do the, little thing on the bottom? Text.
That looks like that's probably the smaller sorting tool. It's not a Wagner, the wheel sorting type, there's a big one and a small one. I think that's what that is.
All right, Ron, you up?
Fred Morris was my mentor, and many of you know how dearly I love Fred. When I was a first year Turner, Fred used to put me on about things, and he always said, if you bring back raffle pieces, you get extra credit. So I thought that was kind of true. I've always liked the idea that we do the raffle and people get pieces and they take them home. But I don't see many people bringing them back anymore. And so 2 pieces tonight that I brought were last month's raffle work. And that's a piece of pear. There was a piece on the table that was pear. I don't know who brought it, but that's what that one was. The other one was a half log, dark, ugly, you couldn't see any of that. And from that log, I got 2 beautifully spalted pieces. Don't know what type wood it wasn't marked in any way. But I would like to encourage everybody to share that idea. If you get something off the table, bring it back, go challenge yourself to do something with it. Next piece is something I've never seen before. Tell me again, Philip, what it is.
Live oak.
Live oak, I can't remember that. I turned red oak, white oak.
Oops, sorry about that.
Philip got some live oak from a friend of his up north somewhere, and we got 4 pieces of that. And you can see the grain and the burl-like structure down in it's just something else. Never seen live wood before, but apparently that's pretty characteristic of some of the pieces. All that's back to doing true oil. I haven't done a true oil finish in several months, so that's my true oil.
Live oak is a state tree, isn't it?
Florida,
Georgia.
George?
Boy, that's what I know.
I didn't cut the tree down. I didn't.
The live oak was interesting. It was actually a branch that fell during a storm, so the pith was really off-center, and you can see all of the heartwood that had developed underneath it to support the weight of the branch as it grew out. So it was just a unique piece of wood to work with, and that piece that Ron showed was a crotch piece where there was another piece of the limb growing out from it. So there's 3 different pith looking things inside of this piece. It's really characteristic. and was able to gift another piece of that, back to the guy who cut it down, and sent us the wood, so that was really neat, able to give it back to him as a Christmas gift. This is a piece of cherry, boy, I don't know where I harvested that from, but that's, it started out really large, but it had sat out so long that it had become really funky a lot of the way through it, so, ended up with that little bowl. That was all that I could salvage out of it. And it was kind of sculpted and pretty. It's intended to be a gift. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to give that one away or not, but it's pretty neat. And then the next one, is a piece, I'll encourage you guys in this way, to, if you see something that you want to try, or if you see a teacher, in the area, or that you want to learn from, ask them. And they'll gladly welcome you into their shop most times. This piece of wood came from AC's house, AC Hudson and Sue, when I came over to their house, and taught me to make some screwdrivers, which is really unique, and I use mine all the time, and I think you more than you know. So thank you for that. This was a maple tree that had sadly passed away at their house and fallen down, and he said, you gotta have a hunk of this, and I got a hunk of it. And this is one of the only pieces that made it, and it is now my favorite popcorn roll. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So thank you very much.
I like the shape of it. What was the thing?
Oh, just walnut oil. Walnut oil.
Let's see.
Joe, my electric brain says that the state of Georgia tree is a southern live oak.
Nice. Thank you.
That all, Phil?
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Hey, Charlie, you ready for the online show and tell?
Here it comes.
I think we got about 5 or 6 pieces.
All right, so the first one is Jared. This was actually last month. Jared didn't get to talk about it. Jared, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on. I think what it says here, the slide grain boxes I did for my sister this year.
How did you do the inserts?
I've been playing with a router, and so cutting it with a router at a 45-degree angle with a straight bit, and then gluing in square pieces of wood.
And then turn it after you get the square pieces of the wood inlaid, right?
Actually, some of it I sanded down so that it wouldn't chip out.
Okay, all right. That's another a version of that, or is that this? That's the same box, right?
That's another picture of the same thing.
Okay, great. Those are the two that I had there for Jared. Joe, you're up.
Okay, yeah, this was my gift from the Christmas party. Tom Jeans made these, and my wife just fell in love with those. We put them on our mantle for Christmas, and you have to have something really special to go on our mantle for Christmas, because we have stuff every year that we put there. So that was a really nice gift, Tom. I like that one. What kind of wood was that, Tom? You remember? Hey, Tom, what kind of wood was that?
Mahogany.
Mahogany, really nice. Okay. This was a piece like the one I had at the Perry Fairs and the nativity that's coming around to the manger, and I sold that one to another guy after I did one at the Perry Fair. But I did sell one at the Perry Fair, and that was the second one.
Is that laser on?
Yeah. And that's the manger there in the stable. That was,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
This is a cherry box that I made. I'm going to be teaching a box class at Woodcraft in February, so I've got to practice. And cherry with a maple finial. Tom, you're up.
All right, that is a one-handed pepper grinder. I made 3 of those for the women in the family. And it was Spalted Beach.
Very nice.
Where do you buy those kits from?
The kit came from Peachtree Woodworking. I made 7 of the kaleidoscopes, 3 of the egg version like that, and 4 of a different version, all of different woods.
Same place for the kit?
I'm sorry?
Was it the same place you bought the kits for those?
No, those were purchased years ago, in a buyout. That is a nice little birdhouse that I got from John Johnson at the Christmas party.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it?
Yep.
All right, great.
Tom, how big around is the pepper thing? Do you mash it or
It's about an inch and a half.
just a few peppercorns in
It'll hold a pretty good fistful. You unscrew the bottom and fill it up, and put the bottom back in it, and it'll hold pretty good supply.
So you just hold it like this and twist it with your fingers on the top, is that how you do it?
You actually,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool.
Woodcraft's got them, or had them, about a week ago for $10 and change.
Nice. Okay, moving right along, we'll go on to the tips and tricks. And this is actually one of my favorite meetings of the year. I'm glad we started doing it most years, and because it gives us a chance to see the how the other woodturners in the club do things. You know, that we bring stuff up here to show, but some things you wonder, I wonder how they did that. So I hope that tonight we're gonna be able to get to see some of the tips and the tricks that members get to do or have learned over the years. Okay, so Mike Wyndham, we're gonna have you first, Mike.
Everybody has asked, what is this? Well, it is not a portable toilet, okay? I'll say that from the get-go. It is a device to put your turn in here with the butt up here, with your engraver being here, to engrave the bottom of your piece. Okay, that's what it is. And what it is a router table flipped upside down and custom made. Okay, that's what it is.
Put the piece on the floor.
So what it is, you put your piece on the floor, and if it is a platter, you put you some spacers. That's what these cigar boxes are all about. I got several of different sizes. So you put your piece there, and as long as the butt gets up right in here, within the focal length of the burner, you can do some wonderful things.
You have a laser burner?
Yeah, I do. It's a little 3-watt, very light, very portable. Put it there, you hook your computer to it, you cut it on, you get your software, you go to burn away. What I was able to do, have a couple of pieces here, like I may want to pass them around.
Get that camera.
This one do that?
No, this one right above.
And that's what I'm trying to do. That's just a piece that I burned on, and I'll pass it around.
It's on.
This this is one of my first bowls I ever turned, and I'm gonna pass it around too. And this is my first attempt at doing freehand. Okay, font Greek freehand, and it didn't turn out very good, to be honest.
Struggle with the freehand myself.
This one I did just last week, and you can see that you can do all kind of things. You got to see it. You can pass that around too. That's just a piece of scrap that so you can get very detailed with it.
Lay the pieces on the lathe bed so the camera can have a steady thing, please.
I thought he wasn't here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
About that,
I'm sorry.
What this can do, this costs about $140. I think about $160 now, but it's a little 3-watt. It won't burn a lot, but it'll burn just enough to personalize your turn pieces very well. The software that comes with this has 106 different font types. And once you get the font types on there, you can mess with the fonts and drag them and make them long, or drag them up and make them, you can do all kind of things. I'm gonna pass these around.
does the burn surface have to be flat?
Correct. What you have to do is to get within the focal length of the cut of the head, and there's a head in here. As soon as you get your piece in here, and if you have to, if it's a tall piece, you can put some shims on it and go ahead and elevate this on up. But a lot of people have turn pieces that are pretty tall, and you can get that right on there and get it right on that thing. But you can do a lot of wonderful things with the software that comes with these things. This is not an expensive thing, but it's perfect for personalizing the pieces that I'm seeing come through this club. Okay, so can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, just pass those around. So you can kind of see. I spent all day burning that as an example of what it can do. Wayne Lux. It is a Wayne Lux. And if you go Google Wayne Lux, they make all different wattage units. This is one of the smallest ones they make, and that's what I wanted, a small one. I don't need a 20 watt, I don't need a 50 watt, a 3 watt.
Go back to camera 1.
Does all you need. And it does graphics too. I don't see that. This is just a piece of wood with some portraits.
How do you spell that? Winglot? W-I... thank you. W-A-I-N-L-U-X.
What's on the front? Yeah, top.
Thank you.
It's a light little thing. I mean, the thing don't weigh but a pound. It's got a fan on it, so when it burns, it smoke leaves the fruit. Yeah, it is pretty neat. But you can do graphics. It's, your focal length is 50 millimeters to 100 millimeters, which is about 2 inches. So you have to get your work within 2 inches of your burn head here. And that's what this is all about. To get your piece.
It's all electric, there's no
gas
or anything in it?
It's electric. It's electric.
What's the cost of it?
$140. I paid $140. You go online now, I think Amazon's got it for $160 maybe. I got this a couple of years ago, and I've been playing with it and doing some wonderful things with it. I just need to do more turning so I can do more personalizing with it. That's where I'm at. But
Mike, what is your software right on?
you can either use your phone with Bluetooth, or you can use your laptop computer. You can, so there's a Windows app, there's an Apple app, and there's the phone app, and it can interface Bluetooth. Okay? But I prefer the laptop and just plug it right into here. Cut it on, and once you get what you want on your computer screen, it'll burn exactly what you see on your computer screen. And you can get real fine with the fonts. You can see some of that, those fonts are very, very fine. You can get very small, you can get very big. The other limitation is, this being a small unit, you only got an area of 3 inches by 3 inches. That's usually plenty big enough for a tenon on the bottom of your turned piece. And that's what I do, is just do real small turn. You can use paper, wood, plastic, leather, and cloth. I think you can do it on glass too, but I've never tried that. Yeah.
This one says Wing Lux Pro 3 watt is 190.
If you search around, you can get a little less than that. Yes. I paid $140 for it a couple of years ago. It's exactly what I wanted, just a small something that I can control better than, I don't know how good it's at. So
Pretty girl.
you can do very
You've
well.
been waiting to come on.
I've never done this right. How do you know you're putting it where you want it to go?
Okay, I'm not gonna do any burning tonight because it'll take too long. Once you get your computer screen up, you mash a button and it goes to position. So what it does, that little dot zooms around and gets you in a position. And as soon as this is where it needs to be, and the bottom of your piece is within the focal range of that. Once you've got a position.
If you're doing like on the bottom of the bowl, is the name or something.
Correct.
So make sure you got that.
Yeah, in fact, little minor adjustments. I've been sitting here, you know, that's the reason I cut this hole right here to be exactly what the base of this is. So I always gonna have at least 3 legs, so I can move this around ever how I want to and orient it ever how I want to. That's the reason I put this tag on here, because all your text is oriented this way. So if I want to put my text that way, I mash the button, the little blue dot goes zzz, and once you get it perfect, don't bump it then. Just stand back and let it burn, okay?
There you go.
Correct. Once you start, you better have it just right. And that's what this is all about, to get it just right. So, the text, if you use a JPEG, a bitmap, a GIF image, a PNG image.
This is Mike that's in
a DXL
our club in
image.
Bacon, and he's giving the same talk he gave at our club, so I'm gonna turn it down.
Yeah, I did the same demonstration at the Middle Georgia Woodworkers Club, okay?
You do this before or after you finish it?
Pardon?
Before or after you put the finish in?
I
You
did
can go
both.
either way.
I did both.
You find that true, Rodney?
I did both, yeah.
It'll burn right through
Yeah.
a finish.
What I do with mine is I put 1 coat of finish on, then you can burn it, because it burns good in the finish.
There are 2 settings on there, and it's cutting power and cutting speed. If you play with those, if you burn too long in one place, you can get some bad stuff. But you have to get your speed and your power just right. So it's a good idea to do a practice run or 2 before you actually burn your nice piece.
That's what your scrap wood's for.
That's correct. Those 3 little things I passed around, it took me all day to burn that. But I did each one individually. Ronnie's got them now. I assume they went around.
Why don't we do this, if y'all have more questions, ask Mike when we get after the meeting, so we can get everybody up here and get going, okay?
Yeah.
All right? So next we're gonna have Woody. Good job, Mike.
Everybody has my shop. You always have some good ideas. Woody always has some good ideas. I'm gonna make it short and sweet if I can. Short and sweet. I got. Yeah. I got a big head, man.
Like an alley cat.
It's working. I like to use a screw chuck for whenever I'm turning bowls and flat stuff. And if you're not familiar with the term screw chuck, maybe you're familiar with the term woodworm screw that comes with all chucks. And for example, if I was gonna mount this on my lathe, oh, overhead. You wanna go to overhead? I don't care.
Well, it was on the overhead.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't in line with it. Where
All
was
right.
I at?
You're over here.
Okay,
Don't move the wood.
sorry,
Don't move the wood.
okay. This is a makeshift mirror. This is a little disc that come out of a hard drive of a computer, and it makes a pretty good mirror. If you wanna look at yourself, this is a good one. It's got a hole in it, so I see all of them at one time. But I drilled a hole in it, and what's the object here is to make sure that your drill bit, when you're drilling for the woodworm screw, make sure that your drill bit is straight into the wood. It helps a little bit. We're splitting hairs, but every little bit helps. Take this little mirror and lay it on your mark, stand your drill bit up, and you can look at the image of the drill bit in that mirror, and you can tell exactly when you're straight up and down. Y'all probably done seen this 100 times.
Can you move your hand so we can see the bit?
This is
I was
hard.
going to hold it up there with magic. But anyway, that is, just for bit alignment. Any questions?
Woody, just put it back down there and hold it with 2 fingers. Hold the drill with 2 fingers, and then you can see the image.
Okay.
Right? See, you can,
Well,
Yep.
I can't see the monitor. Okay.
All I can see is his 2 fingers.
Maybe if we set this thing at a little bit of an angle, maybe. Wrong angle. Anyway, my finger's simulating the drill motor. That's a good, simple one.
You said that's in a hard drive?
Yeah, it come out of a hard drive. And if you tear into one of them, you can get some good magnets out of there too.
I thought it was just 2 pistols.
And this is a real simple little thing that I've kind of come up with. I've got this, where are we at here, on this one? I've got this system that I bought from, Woodturners and Wonders, and they come in 2-inch and 3-inch sizes, and this goes into your drill bit, in your drill motor, and then you can do a quick change with your little, sanding holder. And, these, I get some new people here may not have ever seen this. This comes on and off of Velcro, and I've got one of these for each of my grits. And so I don't have to peel that on and off and swap it. I just lay them aside and grab another one, and it's quick attach right there. And for the inside of bowls, 2 inches are better for the radius of the bowl, but half the time you're rubbing on your sponge and wearing out the edge of your Velcro underneath. So I have learned that you can take 3-inch discs and put them on, and they work equally well on a 2-inch thing, except that this flap doesn't bend and flex exactly like you want it to, or exactly like I want it to. So what I've determined, and there's a difference here, in these 10 snips. I don't know if any of you have ever paid any attention, but the sheet metal workers call the green ones left hand, right cut, because when you're cutting in the curve, it'll go to the right. And these are right hand, left cut. That's what sheet metal workers call it. If you take your disc that you're going to use, and if you cut it with the left hand or the green snips, what I like to, where we at here?
You wanna go overhead?
I don't care.
All right.
Over here. Yeah, if anybody can see it. Now I cut these in little slots using the green 10 snips. I just make a little notch there that makes this edges of this disc flex better on the 2-inch pad. And the reason I use these snips, and this is really splitting hairs, but for your sanding, I'm gonna pass this around, you can see it. The way these snips work, it cuts like this. On those, it cuts like this. And it raises the edge of this sandpaper up a little bit. So you've got a leading edge and a trailing edge. And this, if this leading edge is high, the trailing edge won't be digging in and making scratches in your finish. I'm gonna cut this one. Yeah, and it.
Your finishing department will appreciate it.
All right, well, I hope.
Quality control.
Right. And these are discs that I bought from Clean Spore. It's a little bit better sandpaper than the stuff you get from Wood Turning Wonders, but Wood Turning Wonders has got the Wood Turner Wonders. What do they say? They've got the best deal on these arbors and pads. And you see the marks I've got on here indicate the rotation of it. And if you'll look when I pass them around, you'll see that the edge on the back is raised when I cut them with the red snip, and it's down when I cut them with the green snip. So that's a tiny, minute, like I say, splitting hairs, but to me it makes a difference in my own mind, but I might be tricked, who knows? But anyway, I'm gonna pass these around and you can see the difference in that sandpaper and its natural edge. All right, Joe, I'll let you get somebody else up here and I'll do my other one later.
Okay.
Or later.
Okay. All right, so we have, Rodney. There's one more for you, Rodney. And Ron, you'll be after Rodney, okay?
First thing I want to do, I saw this on YouTube, lined up, you take your bowl or piece out of your chuck, take a bolt, the size of your threads, which mine is 1/8, and you drill a hole in it. Put your piece on your lathe, square it up, get it in your chuck, and if you have to take it off and you want to take it out, poor like me, you don't own a bunch of chuck. line back up apart, which is, but anyway, that's just something I saw off YouTube, thought it was a pretty good idea. All right. I made a thread, and a lot of people have been asking me about the box threader that I made.
You didn't like hand chasing them?
No, I shake too bad. But anyway, this goes down, my lay is a 12-inch lay. And then this here is the cutter. And it actually goes inside of here. And then the chuck, you can buy all this off Amazon. Put your chuck on. Put your jam nut on. It's actually, I cut better when I cut on the backside. And I learned that from Steve Pritchett. So anyway, you got your piece in there and you cut, and then you can actually move it over. It has thousands of marks on it, so you cut a little bit of time. You actually don't have to cut the, being an 1/8-inch thread, you cut a 1/16 of an inch, and that gives you your 1/8 on both sides. So anyway, then I cut a piece. I put a piece of foil in the bottom just because my wife said it was bottoming out, and I had to prove to her that it wasn't. And this is something that we learned in the plastics industry. When we were closing molds and forming parts, we put a piece of aluminum foil in there and smash it down, and you can see that's how much space that I actually have between the top and the bottom. And I'll pass this around so you can see. Any questions on this? It's pretty simple. I cut the plates and all out on the CNC machine that I have.
What kind of speed you run your lathe at?
Wide open. WFO.
What's holding that in?
What's holding this in here? This rod right here.
Drawbar?
Yeah, drawbar. You gotta have that or it'll just spin when you make contact. No, But like I said, you cut on the back side of the thread here, and you can turn your light on it, and you can actually look in there and you can see the threads while you're cutting on the back side of the piece that you're cutting on the thread. And the good thing about this is, you make a pretty piece of wood, and you don't want to mess it up with when it comes to the threading. You can make these inserts. So you cut, say, making an urn, you can cut the hole this size, and you can glue this in there. And then you take your piece, your male piece, and do the same thing. Say on a finial, you can cut the bottom of the finial and cut your threads and mount it up in the finial. And glue it in that way. And you can actually, like Woody said earlier, you can change the colors of the wood to give it some definition.
Yeah.
When it opens up. So.
How you turning your chuck?
Chuck, you turn the chuck by hand right here. Right, you want to turn it, slow as possible. But it's, like I said, the lathe's running 3,600 RPM, it's cutting. So, you back it out, move it over, and then sometimes you may have to make 6 cuts to get an 1/8-inch deep thread like you want.
Rodney, the advantage you have of using that is you can basically put threads in anything. Right. Versus hand threading, you've got to, very hard woods or whatever, but you can almost put threads in anything using a jig like that.
Well, you have to be careful with softer woods.
Right, but I'm just saying.
It'll tear it out. I've run into that.
But you could CA glue it before you turn it. Before you put the threads in.
I did a piece of box elder, and it just gnawed it up, so I had to go back, fill it out, put an insert in it, because the wood was so soft and funky.
How you control the depth of the thread? Is there?
You got control now.
That was a question online.
He wanted to know how I control the depth of the thread, and that's turning these handles here and moving them in and out. And now a piece of advice to you too, when you cut to the bottom, back the thread back out where it's not cutting when you pull it back out. And then you run it into the touches and then go and, make your next cut.
That's basically an X-Y axis, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, you can do it. I'm working on something else for another one, so. But, when I get it finished, maybe next year I'll bring it in. I want to do a spear cutter.
You made that whole thing?
Yeah. I didn't make the plywood, I just cut it out.
You do that all in one pass, right?
No, it's about 6 passes. You can't cut it all in one, it'll tear it all to pieces. It's a little bit of trial and error there. I mean, you actually have to work on it to, get it, all right.
What's the best, threads? Isn't there a certain amount of thread?
Well, the only thread is something else I missed. The only thread cut you're gonna get is this rod right here. That's the only thread, because when you're moving this, that's the space of the thread. But you can cut that thread. I've cut them in something as small as that piece going around, and I've cut them in up to 3 inches. So, but, it's not rocket science. We're not building pianos.
Or harps.
Yeah, harps. All right. You got a pop. Okay.
I like thread.
I don't know about you guys, but if I get drug off with my wife and I have to go to Michael's, Hobby Lobby, I'll see things, and I'll buy them and I'll take them home and try to duplicate them. It's just, personally, I haven't found my niche in this wood turning yet. I found my finish, but I haven't found, I dabble in a little bit of everything, so. And then, talking about my finish, some of these guys have asked me to teach a class on my finish. And I tell them, you're gonna be highly disappointed because my finish takes about 10 minutes. I don't know about you guys, but when I get to the finishing part, I'm impatient. This is another piece that I made. That I found this in Hobby Lobby, Michael's, and I made another one, duplicate like it. But this is my finish right here on this piece. And what I do is I use the brass sanding paste first. That helps with the micro scratches, not the deep ones.
But we don't allow these ones.
And then,
I reject them.
I use the Mylons. I slow the lay down, put a coat of brass paste on it, speed the lay up with a clean rag, clean it off. Do the same thing with the Mylons, and then I use the Renaissance wax. And I use the Renaissance wax as a hardener to help with the fingerprints. This is for the scratches, for you people that are blind like myself. Has a light.
Oh, give me one of those, I want one.
It's like,
I don't need that to see the scratches.
it's like Woody said, I power sand, because when it gets to the finishing, I'm impatient.
You must not have a finishing department.
No, we're still a one-man band. All right. Trade some stuff up.
That sander you just pulled out there.
Oh, you get those at the Chinese tool store, Harbor Freight. Same place you get a virus, but
Why do
anyway,
you like that one better?
because it was $39.
Right, and
It's cheap.
it's a hand chuck too, you don't have
Yeah.
to chuck.
Well, personally, my preference, I hate a hand chuck. I despise them. Every bit I put in a drill motor, I spin. So, anyway. Now,
For my next trick.
this right here is a contraption I made so I can put my vacuum cleaner hose on my leg when I'm sanding. Because I don't know about you, but my shop still does. This right here is a contraption that I came up with when I'm doing hollow forms. And I can blow air in here, and it has a regulator on it, and I can blow the dust out, and hopefully my vacuum cleaner will catch some of it.
Wow,
So,
that's
any
cool.
questions on that?
Leave it blowing the whole time you get
Yeah.
home. You get pictures.
Where did you get the round plant?
It's an EMT pipe cleaner on BWT.
Can you buy that in a 4-inch diameter?
Yeah, you can get them up for it.
And you just put it on a regular magnet?
Yeah, we got the magnet at the Chinese cheese store.
You think the magnet would hold a 4-inch hose?
You want to pull it off?
No.
All right. Where I used to work, I used to have to take classes on organization and doing things, making things faster. And I did bottle openers. One year, I sold the first one at a Thanksgiving family function. Christmas Eve, I sold the 97th one. Anyway, I had a manufacturing thing going, so I didn't have a quality department. But anyway,
You're lucky.
about a spectrum plywood, I cut it into squares, took it over to the the drill press, and drilled a 5/16 hole in it. And I bought this arbor adapter right here from Roof Nile, same place I get the bottle stoppers. Something I found out too about the bottle stoppers, I did not realize the people that collect wine bottle stoppers, they like the ones that stand up, so they can display them. Anyway, after I drill a 5/16 hole, take it over to the lathe. This is turning. Shut it. It's turning, finish it, put your finish on, sand it down, whatever. Take it off. Take it over to the table saw, because my work table full of junk. And the epoxy easily. I can make 4 of these an hour. But it's time saving because time is money.
Money's fun.
That right. Yeah. If you're looking for something to make some quick money, because I don't know about you guys, but in my house, my wife says you can't make money, but you can't spend money on it. And it takes money to
Wow.
make money.
Can you tell us what all those are? I can't see them all.
Where's the,
You can get up the front one if you
we're
want to.
overhead. This here is the bottle opener. Coffee spoon. You have one of these.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
You know that.
Ooh, pizza. Yeah, that's cool.
You can take these apart. Put the head in the dishwasher. Yeah. Who wants cheese and stuff there, right? Most of them, they get it written out. Oh, the bottle. Now, these right here, eBay. You can get them for about $5 a piece off eBay. Yes. How you doing?
Oh, wow.
Funny different
Oh, that's nice.
than what these are.
Are they duck calls? Turkey calls?
It's kind of hard to blow holes in.
I don't know, man.
They're bottle openers. The fancy bottles.
Ah.
You know, poor people buy bases, rich people buy glasses. I only make bosses. Anyway, this right here, this end is can open, for pop top can.
Oh, wow.
So
That is cool.
any questions?
Well done.
I didn't get money for that stuff, I have to give all my stuff away.
You got the wrong kinfolk. The problem that I found with this wood turning is like bowls. Everybody has a brother, or uncle, or granddaddy that makes bowls and they give them away. So you have to find something else. But if you got a wife like mine, you spend money, you don't make money. But anyway. And my wife works with a bunch of women, I hope they're not young, but they have stupid money. She takes stuff to work, comes back and hands me money. Funny story, I made a bowl. She took it to work. She came back home and she said, I tried to call you, but you didn't answer the phone because she didn't do it. She said, I got $65 for this bowl. This bowl's. Okay. Anyway, bowl was about that big. About that big.
Wow.
I said, well, I was only gonna ask 35 for it. But I wasn't mad.
You don't have a finishing department, but he's got a good marketing.
He does have marketing department, I need to work on that.
Something like that.
He'll sell all your stuff.
Hey, we did a craft show, and people would walk up to the table and start asking questions, and she looked at me, and I walked up and started answering questions, and people done this. I went second. You up next, Ron?
Hey, Doc, you up after Ron? Does everybody hear me? I've got teacher's voice. Well, I had 16 things, but Joe wouldn't let me show them all. Okay. Which way? Close enough?
Yeah, that's good.
If I fail to give proper credit for any ideas that I show that maybe aren't mine, Rodney said he would take it so we can give all the credit to him. Many of you are familiar with something like this, if you're familiar with Glenn Lucas. Most of the bowls I turn are twice-turn bowls. I turn them green, anchor seal them, put them away, and come back and get them again. This one I made about 10 years ago, and it's built like a tank. It's an amazing thing that we can do with the bill tap. How many of you are familiar with a bill, B-E-A-L-L tap? Okay. This is used in the second turning of a bowl to take a warped bowl, and where it raises at the pith, put it in here, bring the tail stock up and pressure against it, and then you can resize the tenon round, and even sometimes do some reshaping where you're out of shape. But generally, the idea is to get the tenon round and then put it in the chuck the other way. I painted this one white because I knew in time whatever you used here was going to get ragged. This one, in the last month, I guess, working with Philip, I took and stripped it off with a scraper, and we put a different one on there. So I was interested in trying to come up with something maybe a little bit more substantial here. I use one of these almost any time I'm turning. This one now belongs to Philip because he does the same thing.
This is the one I kind of made getting ready for tonight, trying to find something more substantial here. This is neoprene rubber, found this at Amazon. It's an 1/8 of an inch thick. Most of what you find with adhesive back rubber is like a 1/16 or something like that, so it doesn't take much. This is kind of hard though, I'm not sure. I haven't used this one very much, but these are very useful to me. This is a sanding disc. This is the most powerful sander in our shop. Most people don't take advantage of it. But with a threaded fitting here where it screws directly on your headstock, it's much quicker and easier to use. Generally, I finish the surface with you. This one happens to belong. Is this one yours or mine?
Perhaps.
Looks like a 1-inch hole. Maybe I gave you the wrong one today. Anyway, to get this off, you're gonna have to probably find your wife's hair dryer and heat it up a little bit, or see if you can remember where the heat gun was. Soften it up and pull it off. 9-inch is a good size to make, because if you look like it clings forward, many of us buy our sanding material, the jump from 9 to anything bigger is huge. And most of the time, when you're sanding, 9 inches is probably a good size. In stumbling around trying to find some of this stuff the other day, I found some Velcro, half of the size of Velcro. I was wanting to repair one of those roll-lock things that Woody showed.
What turner wonder?
And I found some of the hook and loop, and I thought, well, that would be quick and easy to change that out and do different grips. I don't know how sturdy that's going to be, because this is new, but I really like this idea of being able to, you need different grips for things like that. Now, the secret to all this is this. This is made by the same people who make the Bill buffing system. Mr. Bill makes 2 of these. He makes it in a 1-inch 8 TPI, and this is a 1 1/4 inch 8 TPI. And you can make all sorts of useful things like this. If you start with a piece of wood, 1 3/4 inches is really good. I like bigger ones because that prevents any flexing out near the end. But you have to drill a hole in the center of it. It needs to be parallel sides, of course. You drill a hole 1/8 of an inch smaller than the size you need. So I have a 1 1/8 Forstner bit. And when I drill a hole in that, then it's mounted in the chuck. They have a unique tapered hole in the end. You use a tailstock with a point. Now, many of us have the one-way, but anything that has the 60-degree point will do. And I cut a recess right here because you want that to reference up against the bigger part of your shoulder, not out there. So you need to cut. That's very important. I'll show you a couple of others in just a minute. And then with this pinned between your tailstock and started in the hole, you turn here. I do it with a wrench, and you keep advancing that. Now what that does is keep it straight. It goes dead end straight. I usually go halfway. 1.5 inches is good. That's what you want to go, because that way you'll get it on here and you'll go all the way against the reference of your shoulder. Once you get, I go in about halfway.
pull it back out. I use what's called paraffin wax. In the old days, people canned and they put that on top of the jelly or whatever they were canning. I use that to lubricate the threads and so forth. You'll notice, I don't know how well that can pick up, but the threads are very coarse here. You're cutting threads like Rodney's machine was doing, but they are intended for this purpose, like that. So I go in about halfway, take it back out, lubricate that with wax, wax it again, go into my finish step. Take it out, take the super glue, coat those threads, let it dry. It takes a little longer than you think. You know, we think super glue is instant drying. Well, it's usually not, especially if you put on a good little bit. But I put super glue to strengthen and toughen the threads. And after it's dried a little bit, I'll run this through it again to clean and cut those threads. Now, this one right here is at least 9 or 10 years old, and the threads are just as good as they were. There's never any problem that I've experienced in this not working to wallow out the threads where it won't work very well. Like I said, this comes in 2 sizes, actually 3, but most of us don't have the 33 millimeter one-way.
Yeah. Stop recording.
When I first got my vacuum chuck, I needed different size heads for it, and they were expensive, and I couldn't buy them, didn't have the money to buy them. Is this, I don't know what's up with that. If you use a vacuum chuck on small items, you know, it's really helpful to have something like this where I use the vacuum, of course, comes through the end of that. But that's how these work. I don't know why that one didn't work. Go ahead on there. These really good, substantial padding here. This comes from rubber chucking. Most of you are familiar with that. But they just thread right on and off. And you can make things that you need and can't afford. Yeah. This one, I haven't used in a long time because I've been fortunate to get one of those aluminum ones made by, well, it's actually a one-way product. Making a vase or vase, as Rodney called it, sometimes it's good to have something like this. The threads on this label are a little bit snugger than they are on mine. But with some padding strips, you can slip a vase or tapered piece, tailstock to take the tenon off on the tail or whatever. So, the reason I thought about doing this tonight was that I use these things all the time, especially in my big plates.
Ron, do you want to talk about the holes that you drilled in the sides?
Yes. What are those for?
I know what they're for.
I am reaching the age that I'm not very strong anymore, and I have some physical arthritis and so forth. And if you've ever gotten a wet bowl on a screw chuck and tried to get it off, some of us are not so agile at that anymore. So thank you for mentioning that. I do have that on my list, but Joe told me I couldn't do it. I have to have something to say.
Explain a little bit more how that works.
Okay, just a second. Let me answer That was a great lead-in question. There you go. Who said that?
I believe you saying.
Always remember to drill a 3/8 hole so that when that sucker is stuck and you can't get it off, you've got some leverage to work with. Thank you for that, 'cause I had that on the list. You can use a Tommy bar. Most of us have something that looks like that, and this comes from something else I've got there at the house. Jam chucks. We all use jam chucks, right? Again, just a scrap piece of wood, drilled and threaded, makes you a jam chuck that you can put almost anything on there. Now, what was your question?
My question was, or what I wanted to explain a little bit more, when you're doing the green, the twice turn mold, explain how this indention right here works when they put a little mold on there.
Okay.
So when the bowl warps, explain about how it warps and how you place that warped bowl on that.
Okay. On a once turned bowl, and different woods shrink in different ways, but the pith raises, or you could say the outside edges go down, but you don't have an even surface to put against the board like this. And so Glenn Lucas was the first one that I saw do this. This area here will accept that raised part. So you put the raised part, the pith, you align it up and down, and then your edges are usually, will fit firm against that, especially when you put the tailstock up and put a little pressure on it. And it doesn't take all that much pressure to do, to turn that tenon. And that leads me to my last point. Frank Bowers used to say that a 1/4-inch bowl gouge was his favorite tool. And I never had one at first. I don't think most people buy a little 1/4-inch. Now, 1/4-inch means flute. That's the European designation. The bar is 3/8. That's confusing to a lot of people. It was to me till I understood about that. But it's the smallest bowl gouge that I'm aware of. This is the best thing you can use when you're working on tenons, where you're working around, I got one more thing to show you. When you're taking a little bit off, you know, a big tool can make a big catch, and a small tool can make a small catch. But when you're working around your tenon, and you're trying to do something tedious like that, short handle, you know, too many of us got 16-inch handles on tools that we work finely with, and this is a longer tool than I'd like, but this one's brand new. This is a D-Way tool. D-Way makes these tools in a parabolic flute, which most people kind of like, and I really love this handle. It's the only one I found that was short enough where that's what I want it to be, is up close and tight. The last thing that I forgot were soft ones. I saw, who's the Louisiana guy? Castellan, Eddie Castellan. Anybody familiar with Captain Eddie, they call it. He made one of these on one of his videos, and he called it a soft tip. This is threaded to go on the end of these one-way things. And it keeps, you know, this thing now is $140, the one-way chuck. And most of us, if we can, have that because we really like that, and they are very good. But you don't want to booger up the threads on that thing. So this stays on mine almost all the time. And I made several more for today. These are harder to make than these. The threads on here are 3/4 10 threads, okay? You think you could cut the hole, the original hole to thread it, 5/8 with a 5/8 bit. But if you do, and I did, it's kind of sloppy, it's a little bit too big. So you need a 21/32 bit. They're hard to come by. You can see them listed on catalogs, but I wanted to get this done. So I took a paddle bit and cut it down until I got it to measure that. And these came out pretty nice, but they thread right on. You can take them on and off. But when you put this up against your tenon, you're finishing up, you're not taking deep cuts. Keep the tip of that tool away from your expensive live center. Who said that thing? Us old folks have a hard time remembering stuff, you know? All right. Any questions? I would have shown how to thread one of these, but we've got a lot of people that take a lot of time. Anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to talk with you about it. Good job, Ron.
Putting his apron on, I don't know if he's fixing to cook, here it is. He is serious, okay?
Joe.
He might be gonna cook, but he might be gonna turn. Ron, check the microphone. Ron, check your headset.
You didn't need my phone, you needed the microphone box, right?
Because we're gonna do the drawing after Benny gets through. Ron, do drawing. Yeah. Yeah, you can do it after the meeting.
Can we hear anything?
Yep.
All right. I'm probably not gonna tell y'all anything you don't already know, but, we're gonna start out tonight with a little dental. These are floss picks, and, you know, floss daily, and these little picks are pretty nice because some of y'all's hands are so fat you can't get them in your mouth to use regular floss, which is the preferred method. But after you use it, I save it because these tips are great for putting a little drop of CA glue in one little place or some epoxy in a hole, fill it in, you can work it down in there and really fill in a hole. So use the floss sticks, save them, they work where I would turn.
They don't throw away
The other thing.
Online,
you know, we had a
mute yourself.
That pointed out that we use a lot of CA glue, and every once in a while you're gonna make a little mistake, and we all have, I think, and get your hand.
Presenters muted.
Hey, Joe, unmute this, the host is muted, Joe.
Presenters muted.
I did that accidentally.
All right, how about now?
Fine now.
Okay, so it has a flip top, which is really nice. Well, so I tried to get another flip top to put on my workbench, and this is acetone does eat up some plastic. So you have to be careful and figure out which one to use. Another small thing, so you can keep it, it's trash. that I use a lot of these single serving little things you find in restaurants and so forth. I'll put a little bit of my finish in there and then put the cap on it, and I can, if you're doing a bowl, a lot of times you can put more than one coat in one day, and this will save it. You don't have to go back to your main source there, your can or whatever. So big thing, and you hear about finishes ruining, and I use the stop loss bags, and they work very well. I've had great luck with them. So hints that I found out about how to use these to
you can, the stop loss bags come with a little plastic top, which is great. They sell extras, and the reason they sell extras is they break. So I took a scrap and turned and epoxied the top in there on the wood, and it keeps it from splitting. So, and then to use it, you can mount your bag onto the silicone funnel that they have, and you put that right there, and you pour the finish in, and as soon as you do, it goes everywhere. Because we didn't inflate the bag. We gotta blow air in the bag to expand it, and then the finish will go in there. So that worked pretty well.
The finishing department will appreciate it.
Yeah. The other thing I found in messing with these things,
How do you know that does that?
somebody told me. One bottle that I have, I did put this on my finishing table, is acetone. This is an eye drop bottle. And there's chemical resistant plastic that's in those. So, those are my hands.
All right, Luke, got one more tip? Oh, yeah, you ready to draw?
Oh, the apron, you know why you have the apron, right? These are butcher's aprons from, I think, Costco or Sam. And they're cheap, and when they get stained up like this one, they're the worst, and sticky, throw it away.
So the sewing department had to work today and turn his top pocket
Am I working?
90 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk just a couple of minutes about, chainsaw. And chain sharpening.
Right.
A lot of people like to, sharpen their chains on the saw. And I'm gonna simulate that. This is I consider it a pretty fair bar, but it's about where if you're trying to file on this with it on the saw, the groove is worn considerably, and probably the drag teeth, not the drag teeth, but the drive teeth are probably worn too. And so what happens? You get a bunch of wobble in the chain. What camera went on? Front?
Front.
You get a bunch of wobble. When you put a file on that, what's it gonna do? It's gonna chatter. It makes a terrible job. I mean, and I've done it before and tried to hold the tooth with my thumb and sharpen it, and then get over here and try to hold this one. It doesn't work very well for me. What I came up with is a jig, and I don't use it on my lathe, I use it on my little workbench. Which way does this go down? But on a lathe, you could strap it down like this with a C-clamp. These are two separate boards that I trimmed a groove in the side of on the table saw, and this groove will close up to probably 20 thousandths. These the drive lengths are about 50 thousandths on most of what I got. And what I do is this jig is made to clamp onto those drive teeth with these screws. And when you put it in there, it's not going to be absolutely down, so I just grab a block of wood, tap all my teeth down. And the first thing you want to do is clean your chain. When you take it off, you want to clean it. I just put mine in a tin can, put some gas in, soak it, blow it off with air. And these little dowels are an important part of it. They are drilled into the sides here at the angle. Sleeper get that. They're in here at an angle that corresponds with your, corresponds with your, whatever your saw manufacturer or your chain manufacturer tells you what angle. These are steel, and they are, that's the brand steel, S-T-I-H-L, and they are 30 degrees. This, this is a steel saw guide or saw, file guide or file holder that controls the depth of your file, which gives you, puts it right in position on the link, and then you use these rods to visually sight to get this angle here. And what I do normally is I get me a magic marker and I mark the first tooth that I file so I'll know where, when I'm through, and take enough strokes to get the snag, the bird, or whatever off of it, and I do it right-handed, and I do it left-handed. And it takes a little while to get, it took me a little while to get fairly good with my left hand, but on most of my filings, I try to sharpen them before they get very dull, so it doesn't take but about 3, maybe 4 strokes, and I do it equally on the left and equally on the right. And you can feel the file when it is doing its work. It'll want to skate and jump, and especially if you hit a rock, it'll really mess it up. But about that 3rd stroke, you can feel it's really cutting nice. This is a brand new file. And another little trick that I like to use if I got it, I think I brought it with me. Anybody see a little wire brush over in that side?
Yeah, yes.
Toothbrush, oh, I've already brought it over there, I think. Sometimes if your initial cleaning didn't get that tooth good and clean, I'll take this brush and scrub the teeth before I file them. And then this file will get clogged up with little metal shavings. And I use the wire brush to clean it out, going uphill. And then after I do a section here and loosen it up and rotate to the next one, I loosen up my file, give it a little, about a half turn. That way I get on fresh surface on the file and without wearing it out on one side. But the low wire brush is pretty handy. You can make this for free on the table saw. Drill these with your drill press. Everybody's got a C-clamp. And a couple more things I want to mention for bars that get worn. It will develop a burr on the edge of it that's just as sharp as a scraper. And they make these tools. I bought this off Amazon. You can put this in a vise and file the surface down to where it's flat again and smooth. And then also when you're fooling with these, every time you take your chain off to sharpen it, you need to turn your bar over to the opposite side, rotate it back and forth. That's all that's in the manufacturer's books. The hardware store where I go charges $7 to sharpen a chain, and I've sharpened several hundred times, I guess, so I've saved a few $100. And the main, main thing to me is the time. Taking the time to go to the hardware store and leave a chain or two, and I've never had one sharpened. And I've been using chainsaws for about 50 years. The first chainsaw I bought was a Poland, and it was a pulp wooder's heavy duty job, and it was so heavy. Of course, I was a little bit wormy back then, a little bit more so than I am now, but it was so heavy, I put it in a wheelbarrow to haul it around in the yard from one part of the job to the other. That it literally was that bad. But and I've got saws now I can handle a little bit better. But what else? Any questions? And the only reason is this is really not wood turning work here, but it's related because everybody that turns wood is going to use a chainsaw or participate in one somehow or another. But yeah, that's right. Or a neighbor's got one at least. But how about it? Any questions? Thank you.